We have some AEW headlines that we're gonna get to. Chad, I hope you're ready. You guys like these pictures? Yeah, we talked about this already on the show. This is infamous. Well, these are just saved for a future video project I'm working on, right? It's all for scientific. So Tony Khan the other day tweets out, justified bald forever chance for Ricochet and Claudio Cesaro in their first match of the Gold League on Wednesday night, AEW Dynamite Live on both the East Coast and the West Coast right now. Thank you all watching AEW right now on TBS. Happy Thanksgiving Eve, everyone. So justified bald forever chance. I don't know. The match was what it was. You guys look, the Blue League, the Gold League, the C2. Mish, Joe, I want your guys' thoughts on the C2 just in general. And Tony also adding this new stipulation this year that the two finalists who can win the whole thing can both be from the same league this year all of a sudden.
Can the winner opt out of their contract? Because that would be the true.
Is it feast or fired at the end? Is there like a shot I get out of this motherfucker?
More contrived booking from a guy who doesn't even follow his own rules. Does last year's points count towards the new gold and blue leagues or whatever?
I have no clue, but the problem is that what's the point of even having the leagues as well if the two finalists can just be from the same league? And why would he add this stipulation out of nowhere unless his plan is to have two people from the same league in the finals together? No?
This is not fun. Is this supposed to be fun for people? Are people excited to go home and check their little personalized cross boxes? Like, ooh, John Moxley won another point. Yay.
Yay, autistic pro wrestling Sudoku, my favorite. Mish, you know what, though? Dude, you know what this means? The return of, you know what this means? Ready? Points. Yeah, that's how we rank people in the PWI 500, if you didn't know that. So,
he has to change that, Joe. I think he needs to change it to stars just so his biggest fans can be happy.
Stars and points. That's all that matters. None of this selling t-shirts, none of this selling tickets, none of the people cheering for you. Stars and points. That's the best guys, Tony Khan. Yeah, see, there you go.
So Bill Apter, right? So I would say a real journalist, or at least someone with some credibility, or at least someone people respect. You know, he says, can someone please explain to me what happened on Dynamite a few minutes ago? I'm totally confused. Hangman Page, Jay White, Wheeler Yuta, Moxley, etc. Am I the only one totally mixed up on trying to make sense of what took place? So were you guys watching Dynamite, or are you still on your Dynamite free cleanse?
Oh,
I've been watching here and there, but I haven't been paying as close to of attention. I mean, I watched everything up to Full Gear, and I mean, last week was okay. I didn't watch this week because I was more excited about Thanksgiving. So,
you might have heard of it.
Yeah.
This little thing, you know.
Dude, they even there was even an event on Thanksgiving here in Chicago. And the only reason I knew that was because I was getting YouTube ads for it. And I don't know anybody who actually went. Like none of the people I talked to went to that thing. So
yeah. Now this week I just microdosed AEW. I couldn't take it in a full, blast of it. So I saw little bits and pieces of it, but that's it, not a fully sit down and watch it for 2 hours, because it is the funniest show on television, but that doesn't change the fact that you can't do it all the time,
Right.
Mercedes Monet, did you guys get a kick out of the AJ Big Boom, Big Justice Rizzler stuff? Here's Monet, the top women's heel, I guess, doing like a babyface sketch for her TikTok or whatever. To me, I thought the Rizzler stuff was the best part of the whole Full Gear pay-per-view, and it wasn't even on the pay-per-view. Or I guess it was what's his name? AJ Big Boom, right?
Yeah.
Is that the guys? I don't even know all their names. This kid over here is Justice. This kid here's the Rizzler. So whatever they're called, the Costco guys. I thought that was like the highlight of Full Gear. I know it's kind of old news, but what did you guys think?
Well, the reason why this worked as well as it did is because, one, you had a guy who was trained in the 1990s having a simple indie style wrestling match in front of a Jersey crowd.
Yeah.
And two, this is like these guys on TikTok is the new version of what the Disney Channel used to do.
Yeah.
Where they would just have, Zoe 101 or whatever. I don't know. I was too old by the time that stuff existed. But, it'd just be like something that's clearly goofy and silly and for kids, where it's like, look, I touch my chin and I'm cool and the gals like me, but it's funny because I'm short and really fat. Get it? Haha. Like it's little kid humor. Now, it's a little bit weirder when it's 30-year-old men jumping out of their seats for it. But once again, these are people in New Jersey. So,
yeah, I think it's weird that I think it's just sort of weird that it's like such a thing targeted towards kids. And I'm all about wrestling, like targeting kids as well. But AEW has seemed to always take the opposite approach. Like, no, we're the blood and guts and gore and, we're the staple guns and all that. And then let's just bring in the Rizzler and hopefully put them on YouTube. So that like some kids last minute buy your and watch John Moxley
Here's the thing. Even during the Attitude Era, Phil, WWE was targeting kids back then. And WWE's Attitude Era was definitely not made for kids, but the reason that kids fell in love with it was because their older brothers, their uncles, their fathers, everybody that they thought was cool in their life enjoyed WWE. The problem with AEW is it's not cool to anyone. So it doesn't matter how many people or how much they try to direct towards kids. It's not going to work other than that segment, because none of these kids want to sit around and watch a John Moxley match. None of these kids want to sit around and watch a Will Ospreay match. They just don't care. So they were happy to see the Costco Guys. Makes perfect sense. Everything else about the show, they didn't even bother with.
No. Do you think children are going to resonate with the 7.5 hour long wrestling show?
No.
Like, does anybody think? Like, that's another thing too, where people go, well, this is clearly this is for grown-ups. And I'm like, yeah, I guess maybe they can vote and buy alcohol, but not really. 7.5 hour long shows. Nobody's saying to a kid, even like a middle school age kid, hey, you want to go to this show and be there until 2 a.m.? The answer is no.
My kids don't know all the words to Where Is My Mind by the Pixies. What?
Yeah.
And that's the other thing too, is even all the theme music is like, don't get me wrong, some of it I don't mind for whatever it's worth, but I'll be honest, this is music from my era or from my parents' era.
Right.
It's definitely not era.
Yeah, like November Rain. It's like, come on, dude.
Yeah, how many 13-year-olds were jamming out to Axl Rose last week, you know?
And the other thing is like, okay, it's a Wednesday night, or they do the Dynamite Live, and then they tape Collision and then Ring of Honor. Like, kids can't stay Wednesday night the extra 5 hours to watch this Ring of Honor either. It makes absolutely no sense. And then the pay-per-views are a reflection of that. They're like 8 hours long. The format change to the Continental Classic that was just announced on Dynamite means the final could be two names from the same league. So I mentioned that earlier. Brody King beat Darby Allin. Okay, so they've wrestled quite a few times. I'm going to get Don Stevens. I'm not going to play it. But the commentary feed got knocked out during the match. I'll play this.
Of course.
So like the whole, I don't know, for a while the commentary was out, and then also, so not only did he do the cannonball there, but then he does it again on the outside, and the actual feed gets knocked out. So it keeps happening. The lights keep going out in the middle of matches. People are like, what the going on? Taco Bell ads pop up when Jack Perry's cutting promos. I don't know, man. It just still, they need to wash this stink off them of it just being a show. And when Tony's doing stuff like this with the league, all of a sudden, we didn't say it on television, but don't worry, because I'll tweet it out. The winners could be from the same league. Why? Because Meltzer said that Ricochet's main eventing the Tokyo Dome. He just said that out of nowhere. And you have Will Ospreay and Ricochet in the same league, and you realize that, and we're like, and you're like, oh, up, quick, how do I get Ospreay versus Ricochet at Wrestle Dynasty or whatever? Their Japan show's coming up, so I don't know. And then Dave just stooges it out there. Yeah, well, Ricochet's main eventing Tokyo Dome. Everyone's like, what? Where did you? Tony's texting him this or whatever, and then this rule comes out, and it's like, okay, he's clearly just trying to do Ospreay Ricochet at Tokyo Dome. No,
but by the way, and I get that this is some people's like favorite flavor of pro wrestling, and it is what it is. Everybody's got something that they like, but What are Ricochet and Will Ospreay going to do that is different than everything else that they've already done? Like I don't get the excitement of this. Where when people go like, oh, well, it's like The Rock and Austin, but they do flips. I'm like, yeah, but The Rock and Austin didn't have the same match for 10 years off and on, where it's just like, oh my God, is this guy going to run off the ropes? He's going to do a head scissors, but then he's going to do a cartwheel with the head scissors, and then he's going to stand up, and then he's going to do a flip, and then he's going to jump on the ropes. It's like, it's the same thing. It's the same fucking
I think that's
thing.
the problem with it. It's not necessarily the flips. Like, I'm not anti-flip or nothing. I'm anti the fact that they get up after these crazy bumps a half a second later. Like, literally, there's nothing that hurts these guys. They could throw each other. They do jumping tombstones on the stairs and stand up 5 seconds later like it never happened. That's the part that drives me nuts. You can have as many flips as you want, but if you're taking crazy flips like that, how about you sit down for a minute? Wait a whole minute before you start groggily standing up, not 5 seconds. Like, they don't even give the audience a chance to breathe,
to digest anything.
Really bothers me.
Yeah,
that's terrible. But like I said, there's no selling in the matches.
Yeah,
it's the same thing every single time.
Well, speaking of which, I mean, look at Jericho and Ishii in a slap fight. This was on Dynamite, dude. Watch these two.
Oh
man, this match is already starting out the way Joe hates it. You got Conan O'Brien standing on the outside of the ring for no reason, and Braun Breaker and Sheamus already in the ring beating on each other. Like, that's, you know what, that is the problem with three-ways, is there's always somebody that's just waiting, just existing.